Hey guys, welcome back to the All Sports Pass. My name's Eli, I'm your host tonight, and welcome back to another video. And all I have to say is I'm sorry for the lack of uploads. I've just been so busy, and I'm so sorry for, like I said, just the lack of uploads. But I'm back now. I hope we're good, and I just can't believe it's playoff time now. And also, a little disclaimer: this video is going to be a little shorter because I'm gonna be honest. I hate sometimes when something happens because unfortunately there was a problem where there was no audio coming out. So it's just gonna be a brief recap of each game. So yeah, but if you're ready for this video, give it a like, subscribe. But before we get into it, you already know I got to start off with the verse of the day. Today's verse comes from Romans 5:1. It says, "Therefore, since we have been justified through faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ." Now, before we get into this, we'd like to subscribe for more high school football content. Without further ado, let's begin. First game from week 9 is Gibbs at Fulton, and I was at this game, and I say the Eagles just showed up and just ran away with it. And all I have to say is Gibbs is really trying to prove that Anderson County win was not a fluke, and that they can, and that they aren't going to let that win define their season. They're going to just use that win to help create more momentum at season's end. And yeah, so that's just all I'm going to say about this one. Next one, Austin East at Carter. Carter, getting a nice win following that loss to Alcoa. I'm sorry, this before they played Alcoa. My bad. And then of course they did good against Austin East. Get a good win on senior night, and then they went and played Alcoa the next week. So yeah, that's just all we're gonna say here. But however, Carter, of course, they're a force to be reckoned with as well, and it's going to be one interesting game to say the least between them and Gibbs, which we'll talk about here in a minute. All right, next one, Union County at Anderson County. Anderson County, of course, with that loss to Gibbs, wanting to take their anger out on somebody. They took it out against Union County, winning 80-20, and all I have to say is this: is that I can't believe I'm saying this, but Anderson County, man, they putting up 80 points is something that I did not expect because it's pretty rare in football. It really is. It's extremely rare to see that. But that's just all I gotta say about that one. But for this one here, all I gotta say is man, Anderson County really took their anger out on somebody. Yeah, so yeah, that's all I gotta say here. And also, a little note of disclaimer before we move on. I have to do quick recaps due to time constraints, so that's all I gotta say here. All right, next one is Jefferson County at Powell. Jefferson County, of course, defeating Powell in an upset, giving Powell their first loss on the season. And while this is a non-region game, it was interesting to see how Powell used this loss to their gain. So, and we'll hear more about that here when we go on to the Week 10 review. And yeah, and for Jefferson County, much needed win, and as well as the fact that Jefferson County, being in 6A, well, they basically clinched a spot in the playoffs. So it's going to be one interesting game, see what happens. So yeah. All right, next one, Sevier County versus Tennessee High. Region championship right here, and because of that, Sevier County, with this win, Sevier County defeats Tennessee High, and Sevier County has the 1 seed, Tennessee High has the 2 seed. So yeah, and it was actually a pretty good game. Both teams were tied in the halftime, so it really does, kind of show that, Tennessee High gave it their all, but unfortunately it was just Sevier County at the end just took off with it and never looked back. And yeah. All right, then the game of the week, Central Halls. What a game this was. Came down to a 4th down conversion and dodging a few defenders for Central. Then, of course, Hall still had time. They go into field goal range. But unfortunately, kick doesn't make it. And Central, of course, wins the Battle of Black Oak Ridge for the first time since 2022. So, yeah, that's just all I got to say about that one. And And with Halls, of course, getting that win is a much, I'm sorry, with Central getting that win, much needed win. Because really, if Central had lost to Halls, it would have shooken up the region just a little bit. But it's going to be, that's all I got to say about that one. So that's all I got to say there. And with that, it's going to be one thing after another for these guys. And yeah. All right, next one we got is week 10, and like I mentioned, doing brief recaps. Austin East and Meigs County, and unfortunately for Austin East, with this loss, this will eliminate them from playoff contention, and marks the first time since 2020 that they've, I'm sorry, 2021, since they have missed the playoffs, and it is, of course, unfortunately, fortunately that they have not made it. And actually, no, they did make the playoffs in 2020, 21. Sorry, I was saying of a different year. I was saying 2020. First time since 2020. Sorry, that they missed the playoffs. So that's thing about it. And with that, it basically, and with that, Austin East, of course, just had a bit of a season to where it just ended up just not going their way, and it just ended up just unfortunately not being able to make the playoffs. But hey, it'll be interesting what Austin East does this offseason to see what happens next season. And yeah, that's all I got to say on this one. Next one, Fulton at Union County. Of course, Fulton getting their first win of the season against Union County. Of course, these whoever won this game would not have affected the region because both these teams were eliminated from playoff contention. But however, for Fulton, with the season they've had, just getting a win on the season helped get some out of nothing. And all I have to say is that, for Fulton, getting a win on the season, following the season, like knowing that you're not going to make the playoffs, season didn't go your way. So why not just get a win and just say, hey, we got to win this season. We'll see what went wrong, and we'll see how we can come back and be better next year. So yeah. All right, Powell at Clinton. Of course, we mentioned earlier with the Jefferson County loss to Powell. Powell, of course, goes into Clinton, handles Dragons 59-28, and all I have to say is Powell has proven to be a force to be reckoned with this season, and that's going to continue with that. And hey, they've got they're region champs, so that's the thing about it. And first time in a while they've won the region championship, as I believe the last time was 2021 when Walter Nolan was there. And yes, we're talking about the Arizona Cardinals, Walter Nolan. So yeah, definitely a good season for Powell. So yeah. All right, next one we have is Halls at Campbell County. Of course, Campbell County just having a really bit of a disappointing season. Halls, of course, coming in wanting to avenge that loss to Central, and of course, a region game. So basically, Halls, of course, coming in winning 66-17, and it's just all I gotta say is that for Halls with this, it basically put them in a position to where they won the game, and now they're basically clinched a playoff spot. So yeah, and that's all I gotta say on that one. All right, William Blount at Central. All I'd say is this: William Blount is one of these teams that's been on a roll, like a fire ignited, and they've been putting teams to the limit. And they nearly beat Central at Central. So that's just all I got to say about this one. Like, man, William Blount, if they can keep up what they've been doing heading into next season, it will be interesting to see what happens. And it's going to be one interesting way to see it because, hey, they've been able to shock a whole lot of people, myself included. And to be able to do this is amazing. And all I say is, congratulations, William Blount. You all have really, in my opinion, like if I covered you all more, I would actually give you the comeback team of the year that's just all I gotta say. So yeah, congratulations. Now of course this was a loss, but however, William Blunt proven that they are a force to be reckoned with, and teams better look out for them. So yeah. All right, next one, Sevier County playing Huntington, West Virginia. Of course, this West Virginia team is ranked number 2 in the state of West Virginia, having 2 losses on the season. Of course, Sevier County being one of them. The other one was actually Oakland up in Murfreesboro. So, of course, Huntington has played 2 Tennessee teams this year, and for Huntington being ranked number 2 in West Virginia, like for Sevier County, of course, defeating them, it basically, a 42-26 win for Sevier County. What better way to of course play your final non-region game against one of the top teams out of state and see how you do against them. And they end up winning 42-26. So that's all I got to say about that one. And Sevier County, of course, they're going to be hosting. They're the number 1 seed in the 5A playoffs on the road back to Chattanooga if they can make it there. And dang well, Sevier County is going to do everything they can to get there. So yeah. All right, and this is our game of the week. Heritage at Gibbs. Of course, Heritage needed some stuff to happen. Needed to beat Gibbs to potentially have a chance to get in the playoffs. However, South Doyle also needed a Gibbs loss to Heritage, and South Doyle needed to beat Anderson County for a chance to get in. Well, since those outcomes didn't happen, we're down to only 4 teams who, like, the playoff teams have been decided in the in Region 2, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But with that, basically that means that of course, the winner of the Gibbs-Carter game is going to determine, and of course the winner and loser of the winner and loser of the Anderson County Alcoa game is going to determine who goes where. So yeah, that's just all I got to say about this one. Yeah, but the Eagles, of course, they've been on a roll. Like following that loss to South Doyle, they've just been on a roll. They've been doing everything they can to keep going, and these Eagles never gave up. And of course, leading to an upset over Anderson County, and for their first win over Anderson County since '92, which you think about 33 years ago, man. Hey, you want to know a little fun fact? 33 years ago, I don't think really any schools around here had turf. So back when Gibbs played Anderson County, everyone was on grass. So, yeah, that's all I got to say about this one. Yeah. All right, we're heading into the final week of the regular season, week 11. Austin East having McMinn Central, of course. McMinn Central, they possibly have a chance to get into the second seed, but they would need a Sweetwater win, a Meigs County win, and they'd have to win. And of course, Meigs County, of course, playing Kingston, and with the fact of this, there's also Scott having a good season. So if McMinn Central can beat Austin East, they would need a Sweetwater win over Scott. They would also need a Meigs County win over Kingston. So that's just all I got to say about this one. So yeah, but however, McMinn Central they're on a roll, and they're just trying to finish strong, and it'll be one interesting game to say the least. And yeah. All right, South Doyle at Fulton, of course. Both these teams eliminated from playoff contention. So basically now, both these teams are just trying to get one more win before the season wraps up. And all I have to say is this, is that South Doyle, of course, had that upset win against Gibbs. Fulton, of course, getting their first win against Union County last week. It's going to be one interesting game, to say the least. And, of course, the Falcons, they're at Bob Black Field for the final time this season. And it's going to be one interesting game, see if the Falcons can defend their home turf and potentially get the win here. So it's going to be one interesting game, to say the least. So that's all I got to say here. All right, Sevier County, Morristown West, and you can see the playoff possibilities here. Morristown West needs to win this game if they want to go to the third seed, but they'd also need a Cobb County win over David Crockett in order for that to happen, because all other scenarios, it'll be Sevier County number 1, Tennessee number 2, the university, the high school. David Crockett at 3, Morristown West at 4. So basically, Morristown West would need to upset Sevier County, have Cocke County win, and in order to have a shot at the 3rd seed. So, yeah. All right, next one we got Clinton at Halls. Clinton, of course, eliminated from playoff contention. And for Halls, if they win this game, if they lose this game, they need a West loss to Powell, because if West wins and Clinton wins, then basically that means that West would get the 3rd seed, Halls would get the 4th seed, but all other scenarios, no matter what happens, as long as one of these two win or lose, it's basically, it's going to be Powell, Central, Halls, and West for the seeding, and as you can see on your screen. So, yeah. It's going to be one interesting game, to say the least. The Red Devils, of course, had a game canceled against Catholic, so that's why if they win this game and it says 5-4, that's why you're probably going to wonder, because they had to cancel that game due to injuries. So, yeah. All right, next we have Karns of Central. All I have to say is this, is that it's been a while since we covered Karns on the channel. I want to say the last time we did was, I think, season 1, when they played Gibbs. I'll have to check, but I know for a fact it's been a long time. So that's all I got to say about this one here. Actually, no, season 2. Sorry, I forgot season 1 only covered Gibbs. But so season 2 was the last time we covered it. But no, season 1, yeah. So that's the first time we covered them, and it's been a long time since we last covered them. So it's gonna be a bit here. Well, actually, we got Powell. Yeah, never mind. We covered them when we did Powell versus Karns from season 2. So I don't know what happened there. Yeah, but anyway, so Karns, of course, trying to end their season on a high note. They're not eligible for playoff contention this year. Central, of course, no matter what happens, they're going to be the 2nd seed. But the Bobcats, of course, I think they're going to treat this game like it's a playoff game, because they're going to treat everything they can. They're going to make sure everything happens the right way to get that good momentum for the playoffs. And also, this segment is presented by Blended by Justice. Thank you for your continued support of All Sports Pass. And yeah, so all I have to say is Central, of course, I'd expect the Bobcats to give it everything they got. And yeah. All right, next one we got is Carter at Gibbs, and this is presented by Biggs Only, PJ's Barbershop, and Sierra Lynn Photography. Thank you all for your continued support of All Sports Pass. And all I'd say is this: not only is this a rivalry, it's a district game, and it's a district game that's going to determine a whole bunch. And of course, there's going to be a whole bunch in this region that we're going to talk about here in a second. But Carter on a roll, Gibbs on a roll. The strength for both teams is this. It's of course, Carter beat South Doyle, but however, they lost to Anderson County and Alcoa. Gibbs lost to Alcoa, however, Gibbs beat Anderson County. So it's going to be one interesting game. And all I have to say is, which team wants it more? Because, of course, both these teams are fighting for... Now, if Gibbs wins and they have an Alcoa win, then Gibbs will be the 2nd seed. But, however, Carter, basically, if they win and Alcoa, if Carter wins, they're just going to be in the 3rd seed. That's it. So, that's just all I got to say about that one. But, yeah, so it's going to be one interesting game, and I will be at this game. So, if you see me there, come on over and say hi. So, yeah. All right, game of the week, Alcoa at Anderson County, determining the region here. Let's take a look right here for a Region 2. Basically, if Alcoa wins and Carter wins, Carter's going to have the 3rd seed, Gibbs is going to be the 4th. However, if Alcoa wins and Gibbs wins, Gibbs will be 2nd because they have the tiebreaker over Anderson County, and Anderson County would have 2 region losses compared to Gibbs 2 should Gibbs win. So, but... However, because Gibbs beat Anderson County, Gibbs would have the 2nd seed. So, basically, both teams are going to play their hearts out here. All 4 of these guys are. And Alcoa, of course, being 9-0 in the region, it's going to be one interesting game. So, yeah, and Anderson County, of course, they've been trying to to rebound. Of course, they do get a 49-27 win over South Doyle, but that game was pretty close, I will say that. So that's really all I got to say about this one. And if Anderson County can potentially get by Alcoa, it's going to make things a whole lot interesting. So, yeah. And that's all I got on this one. We're going to move on to the ad break, the last ad break of the regular season. I can't believe that. So, yeah. Here we go. First sponsor we're going to talk about is PJ's Barbershop, located on 3544 Neal Drive, Suite 101, Knoxville, Tennessee 37918. You can call or text Pam or Jackie by contacting the numbers on your screen to schedule an appointment. Thank you for your continued support of All Sports Pass. Next is Sierra Lynn Photography. You can DM Sierra at Sierra_343 or SierraLynn.photos on Instagram to schedule a session. Thank you for your continued support of All Sports Pass. And then Bigs Only, outdoor clothing brand, and they also have some outdoor accessories. So I would go check them out. You can go to bigsonly.com, or which is the link at the top left of your screen. And finally, thank you to Blended by Justice. Justice, of course, has a great selection of clothing. I'll go check his website out. You can go to www.blendedbyjustice.com. And also, Blended actually reached its 5th year anniversary a couple weeks ago. So hey, go show Justice some love and go check him. You go check his clothing selection out. And hey, all I want to say is this: not only my sponsors, but to the fans and the players. Of course, the players I've interviewed, the players who watch my channel, and the fans who watch my channel, and of course, sponsors. Thank you all for making All Sports Pass possible. To be able to this now being my 3rd high school season is just amazing, and I just thank you all so much. I've enjoyed every single minute of it, and y'all are the reason why I keep doing this. And from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you all so much. And yeah, with all that being said, God bless and have a good night.